I'd like to share with you a little bit about how I use automations and integrations in my work. Essentially, I am finding that I actually like it in many ways. And frankly, I'm surprised by that because in many ways it's time consuming and it's tedious to set these automations and integrations up. But the beauty is once you get it set up, it's fantastic. So I'd like to share with you how I'm using these tools as a way to encourage you to think about whether you want to use these tools in your work, whether you're working solo or with a team. If you have processes that are repetitive but are important, these kinds of tools are perfect. They absolutely take the endless tickler list out of your brain and gets it done for you. On the other hand, the beauty of creating these workflows using automations and integrations is that they force you to get really clear on your processes, how they work, and why you have the steps that you have. So in that sense, they're a great tool for not only organizing, but a great tool for aligning your work in terms of what you say you do with how you actually do it. And then that can bring into the conversation part of your values as a team and as a leader. How do we make sure we have alignment and fidelity with what we say is important? With that being said, I want to show you just a little bit about how I use it for marketing part of my business, and to let you know as well, not only do I use it for marketing, I use it to help keep projects organized. Depending on the tools you use, I can also share parts of what I'm doing with customers and people that I'm working with so that they can see when projects are on track or off track. But all of these pieces, frankly, are there. And I just think it's beautiful to know what's available to you as you're looking to optimize how you work and better serve the people you serve, whether they're internal or external. So with that, how I start when I'm trying to build this particular marketing flow is with Apollo. Apollo is a tool that I use to help me build the actual list. So if you look here, and I'm going to talk about this more, this is Monday.com. Apollo helps me pull all of these people together. There are a couple of ways that you can work Apollo. You can go to Apollo and you can click on companies and you can search the actual names of companies and put in some data and it'll generate a list. On the other hand, what you could also do, you can type in the names of a person or you can create a persona and Apollo will in fact look for those people and their contact information for you. Great, right? It gets even better. Let's say you know the name of the organization that you want to target, but you don't know who in the organization is the best person to target. So if you upload the Apollo tool to your search engine, you'll get this option on every website. So you click on it, and what it will do, it will pull all of the information that it has about the people who work there. For instance, if my company, this is my website, by the way, if we were a well-known company, let's say we had something going on in the news, it will pull all of that up, okay? In addition to that, it will give you the names of every employee that, in fact, they can find with respect to the organization. Then they will even give you the phone number of the person that you're trying to find. So you've got to ask yourself, when you find this kind of information, if in fact you want to reach out to them that way. You might also find that you can find email addresses. Sometimes the email addresses, for the most part for me, the majority of the time, the email addresses are correct. The site does not promise you that it's error-free, but it's largely accurate. So bear that in mind. On the other hand, you have the ability to use the site with LinkedIn. So when you're looking at LinkedIn, what it does, it allows you to access the email, add them to a list, or put them in a workflow that you've created on Apollo. So again, you have multiple ways that you can use Apollo. Okay, so that's the first tool that I use to gather. Oh, you might also ask this question, why Apollo and just not search? The reason that I like Apollo is that it allows you to email people without being dinged or reducing your chances of being dinged as a spam emailer. When you use tools like MailChimp or MailerLite, those kinds of tools to send contacts to people, if they haven't given you explicit permission, then you are in fact spamming them. The purpose of Apollo actually is a little different. Apollo's philosophy is this: you're reaching out to them so that you can request their permission to engage, if you think about it that way. So it's not quite as intrusive as putting somebody on a list and sending them 3 or 4 emails in 3 or 4 days, frankly, pestering them to death. And I want to respect people. I hate when you add me to a marketing list. So I try to give people the same respect. So again, that's why we use Apollo, not only to have emails that don't go to spam, but to also get the correct information. So let's just assume we've gotten all of the information and we add it to Monday. You can set up an automated process where you can upload the information directly into Monday. You can do it manually. Again, all of these steps in automation and integration depends on your purpose and the tools that you're using. So for this particular table, if you look at it, you'll see that it looks a lot like an Excel spreadsheet. And in some ways, it functions that way. So at the beginning, you'll see that there's information about the person, their organization, their title. Then as you go further over, what you see with these empty columns, these are the columns for my workflow processes and the statuses that, in fact, I will create. So once you get it over into the system, this is where automation comes in. First and foremost, you'll notice that these are all set to prepping and that they all have a date. The way I've set my flow up is that as soon as the item or the person's information is added, the date is set. That's important to me because I need to make sure that all of the contacts within my flow happen within, all of my interactions rather, happen within 35 days. Because in my mind, if I've sent you traditional mail, I've contacted you via LinkedIn, I contact you via regular mail, if I don't hear back from you in 35 days, the chances that I'm going to hear back from you are low. So let me stop sending you stuff, which means I don't keep spending money or time on somebody who is not interested. So first and foremost, the data set, and we also set the person to prepping. The reason why that prepping is important, because it also sends a note to me that says you need to check the stuff that's on the board before it goes out. That's important because what happens when the information goes out, excuse me, I'm looking here. I wait a business day I've given myself, a business day to check the things that come into the list, because each postcard represents a dollar amount, frankly. And if I'm going to be sending postcards, I need to have as many opportunities as possible that they land where I want them to land. So what you saw in that last automation was sending out the first postcard. Then I tell the system, wait 3 business days, send a second postcard. So again, you have to think through your process. You need to know why you have the process so that you can tell it what to do when, and it will follow the logic that you give it. Then from there, after the postcards are sent out, notice it says when I send the second postcard at the same time, send an email to me. The email tells me what I need to do next. I need to make a Loom video for each person. Again, you decide if you want a step like this or not. I send a Loom video because I want to personalize my process and try to stand out in the person's inbox, okay? The name of that email, not the customer doesn't see that. I only see this. Yes, I do have a part of my process called stalking you, because I say something along the lines of, hey, you may have gotten postcards. You're going to hear from me again, because I'm trying to get an interaction or engagement with the person right away. I also tell myself I need to get that done in 4 days, because in 4 days we have, hang on, the next step, which should be when I create the Loom email or the Loom video, there is a link that goes in. And when I put that link in, it sends that email off. So the point in sharing that is, once I do the things that only I can do, the system takes care of everything else. The beauty is this. Now imagine if I had to send, there are 33 items on this list. If I had to send 33 postcards, I had to put posters on all of those. I need to put the address information on all of those. I needed to look up the emails. That's just a lot of work. And this is the kind of thing that even if the idea is good, the execution just takes too much. Now imagine if you are hiring groups of people, and maybe you got a large group of people, you're in a large organization, same kind of thing. The administrative burden of that is high. But the reverse is true. Let's say you only have one person that you hire at a time. Your organization is not huge. But you know what you need? You still need a process. And the beauty of a tool like this, You don't have to keep recreating the wheel every time you hire somebody. You don't have to sit down and go, which parts of the process, particularly if you don't have dedicated HR. So with that being said, looking at how do you automate processes that are important, but they're pretty set, you know why you do them, or you need to figure out why you do them to make your life more efficient. And you can use this for marketing. I do use it for marketing, some other things with my website. If you have questions about just thinking about how integrations and automations might actually help you, let me know. I'm more than happy to talk about them. And I'm more than happy to share even more details about how I use these processes in my work and how I'm willing to help you if you want to explore using it in yours.